lovely people. It's our November technique of the month. I thought we'd do something a little bit different because it's the last one of the year. We don't do a technique or a blanket club in December because it's Advent, but I'll tell you about that at the end. Too much for me to manage. So just for a change, we've looked at commercial patterns, we've looked at what other people do. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and what I do, why I write my patterns the way I write them, and why they're so different from what everybody else does. So, if you haven't met me before, my name is Kitten. I specialise in helping beginners dejunk all the knitting myths, and also I help people living with chronic illnesses. I have several chronic illnesses myself, and knitting is the perfect way to unwind and clear your mind and just give yourself a bit of peace and relaxation. And we do things the easy way. So let me tell you a little bit about it. So, going right back to the basics, I'm called Kitten. It's a nickname I grew many years ago. I've been Kitten for donkey's years. I learnt to knit well over 50 years ago. I'm a bit of an old bird, been through all the techniques. When I learnt to knit, it was all about 4-ply mostly. Little bit of double knitting, not a lot. Yarn came in big hanks and you actually had to physically wind it into a ball before you could knit it. The patterns from the 40s, 50s, 60s were all about very fitted pieces, about darts, pleats, shaping, all about your diagonal stitches. The patterns were written completely differently, very technical. They expected you to know what you were doing. They wouldn't make a lot. They'd give you the pattern and they'd say, this is the shaping. You work it out, you put the two together. I've done a bit of Fair Isle, Intarsia, Guernsey. My favourite thing is Aran work. I still love all the cables and twists. It's sculpting, it's 3D sculpting with yarn in a straight line. It's fascinating. I'm not very good at lace, I'll admit that. Can't see the holes. Back in the sort of 70s, 80s, the synthetic yarn quality was poor, wasn't very good. But everybody knitted. It was just something you did. Been through all the techniques, the fashions. Around about the 90s, everything started to change. Chunky started to come in. There was a lot more double knitting. The yarn quality improved a bit. It was all about fashion jumpers. If you see patterns from the 80s, 90s, they have a distinct look. All the bat wings, all the big V-back jumpers all came in. Heavy patterns, very textual. Right up to today. Today, knitting patterns are much looser, much less formed. There's less shaping, there's less technique. Once you learn your basic stitches, you're much freer to get on and do what you want to. The quality of modern yarns is absolutely fantastic. The synthetics. The majority of the synthetics you buy in the shop are coming out of 3 big factories in Turkey. Fabulous quality. There is still a lower tier of poorer quality, mostly from China. You can feel it in your hands. The yarn's got no body, no give, but that's much less these days. On the whole, all these yarns, they wash, they wear, they're nice to work with, they last. They last such a long time. You look after them, wash them well. I've always been a crafter, not just knitting. I trained as a calligrapher many years ago. Traditional, classic, lined calligraphy, the discipline, very arty. Just come from that kind of background where you did things for yourself. If you wanted to sew a dress, you made a dress. I learnt tailoring, seamstressing. It's just who I am and what I do. It's my lifeblood. I developed chronic health problems about 30 years ago. Fibromyalgia was unheard of, didn't exist, no such thing. ME at the time was a bit of a joke. It was seen amongst the go-getter high flyers. It was called yuppie flu. They burnt out. They overworked and burnt themselves during that kind of time span. The 90s was very high flyer, very intense. The bankers were working crazy hours. It was all about money and work and doing. And I don't think it was until I came up to the Lake District that I was diagnosed. I was very lucky to start with. The doctor said, I don't know what's wrong with you, but something's blown. You've blown a fuse and it's not right, it doesn't work. Always been treated with great respect. And then when I moved up to Cumbria, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, ME, several other things in the bag. And once you've got one autoimmune condition, several others come into play. I've managed it, sheer bloody mindedness mostly, but I have managed it. I've had periods where I've been in bed or on sofa because I couldn't physically stand up. It's just gradually deteriorated over the years. Last year we were managing, the shop was ticking over. I had my little shop in Kendal for just over 12 years. We were ticking over, I was coping. This year came, the town died, the weather was bad, and it got to the point, and it came quite suddenly, I just couldn't cope anymore. I just simply, physically couldn't cope. Days were getting shorter. I was going home at 3 o'clock, 2:30. I was skipping days, and we had to make the decision. So we took the decision, the shop has to go. Can't do that anymore. Gutted, but let's do something else. I have all this knowledge in my head from being in the craft industry, from working with designers, with factories, with companies. I've been on several design teams for big companies. I've had input and development in various areas for big companies and small designers. It's all been part of the package. So what can we do to use this knowledge? I've still got my website, still got my email list, got a YouTube channel that I started 10 odd years ago because the company I was working with at the time wanted to get onto the YouTube with demonstrations and various things like that, so that was sitting in the background. So I thought, well, let's get that out, let's dust that off, and let's see how we're doing and how we can get on with things. So here we are. I've been semi-retired-ish, about 4 months. We have reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you, that's phenomenal. Oh, that's just incredible. I love it. I've had lots of support from you saying that I explain things well. And this is the aim. I'm slow. If you don't like somebody that is slow and takes a while to catch up, then I'm not your jam. If you want hyper-focused speed and energy, I'm not for you. I'm the slow, thoughtful, mindful worker. I have my limitations. I plod slowly along. I show you all the little tiny things that work. And my overall ambition is to give you the knowledge, not just of that's a knit stitch, or that's how we do this, or here's a technique where you can manage cleaning your cupboard a bit better, but why? that is a knit stitch because this is that and that happens and this is what happens and that's how it all together. Or let's think about mindfulness and quietness and let's do our journal planning. Let's make our bullet list. Here is how to plan your week to get the best out of it so that you can manage yourself and your health. And if it all goes tits up, it does. I don't do pressure. We regroup, we reform, we throw toys out the pram, we have a sulk, and then we get our big girl pants on and we do it all again. And I have found that, you know, can't put pressure on yourself to do these things. So, when I write my knitting patterns, I do it in a certain way. Those that you who understand commercial patterns and know commercial patterns will look at it and say, well, come on, love, you don't need to put that there, you put that there, you put that there, that's your repeat. If you're a beginner, it doesn't make sense that sometimes you're knitting there and you're knitting at the end of it. It doesn't make sense. Put them together and make it more logical. Yes, it's more long-winded, but it makes better sense. So let me show you some of your patterns and I'll show you some of the little refinements and tweaks that I use that'll help you do with that. So here's some patterns that I've been working on. They're printed on the printer because if you buy one of my patterns or you get it in the email, it's a Dropbox link. So you go into Dropbox and it gives you the thing, you download it to your own device, save it, store it, print it, whatever. You will find I write everything out in full. There's no jargon, there's no abbreviations. I don't think I've got one with a technique. If there's a particular technique, you'll find it at the top, usually printed in a colour to highlight it, and where the technique is in the instructions you will find it that colour. If there's more than one size, which isn't very common with me, you will find that each size is a different colour. All my patterns I literally write all my patterns by hand. I don't use any computer programs. I get my inspiration. Sometimes it'll be, I'll see a picture of something. Sometimes it'll be a combination of two different things from different patterns put together. The leg warmers were a classic simple lace with a frill cuff. Put that together. That was two different techniques really. I very rarely give you the amount of yarn you need. That's because I am not working with a company with a particular yarn. It does not matter. Double knitting is double knitting, chunky is chunky. Very, very rarely makes a difference with the yarn you use. What you will find is what the yarn is made of will affect it. A ball of shush is huge because of what it is. A ball of wool, you won't get nearly so much. A ball of cotton, you hardly get anything because cotton itself is very weighty. You don't get the length. And I want to teach you how to use yarns rather than tie you into a set mindset. So you will find 90% of the time each row is written out individually in full. Sometimes they'll be knit so many inches. That is so you can cross it off as you go along. If all the odd rows are the same, I write out all the odd rows for this reason. I won't just say, and a commercial pattern will say all odd rows do this. I won't. I will write out all your rows so you can go through You can cross it off, you can mark it off however you like. There's a colour all explained. There's a more detailed one. The downside of writing everything out full is that they take so much space. And this is a bit of a spoiler because this is going out. This is the Advent series that I'm working on. This is one of the patterns. I did this a very long time ago. But because every pattern is written out, I've just got to go through and check everything. It takes a lot longer. If you wrote that in shorthand, you could probably fit it in half a page. That's why I very rarely do big projects. I've got a waistcoat pattern I want to do next year. Oh, and yeah, talking about next year. Now is the time of year I'm deciding on what I'm going to be doing next year. January's is lined up. I've got a waistcoat pattern I want to do. If you've got any ideas, anything you want done next year. This year's pattern list had 2 requests in it that people had asked for. Mostly I like to do small projects because they don't take you too long. You want to sit and knit something. You don't want to sit and think, right, that's going to take me 3 months to do that. You just don't. If you join the blanket club, which this is a blanket pattern, 1 square, you can do your 1 square and it adds up over time to your big project. But you don't want to think, oh, it's going to take me 3 months to knit this cardigan. So we tend to do small, simple projects. And I try to give you enough information so you can change the pattern. The pattern coming up I've got in January is very, very basic, simple, but once you've got it under your belt, there's so much you can do to change it. You don't need instructions to add stripes and cables. You can, hopefully, once you've been with me for a little while, you will be able to do that. So I hope that makes you understand how I write my patterns easier. I tend to write the way that you're going to work it. A lot of patterns have repeats at the beginning of the end, so they fit the pattern in the line, written line, nicely. But I tend to work a pattern block, and if you've got a tail end, well, you've got a tail end, and that's how the pattern works through. Some people say to me, well, don't you get bored just doing the same thing again? No, I don't actually. I don't. I'll just sit and knit. It's not about doing clever things. It's not about, yeah, I can do all the techniques. It's not about showing off and doing all the techniques. It's about an expression of self. I think even more so these days, we are aware of mindfulness, calmness, mental health, taking care of everything. And if you carve out 20 minutes in your day for just slow down, and I'm just going to do a couple of rows knitting. It might be that you're working on little squares for a blanket. I'm going to do a little square for a blanket. Crochet, just the same. It's a kind of a reset. It's an oasis in your piece of your life. And you will find that it will give you the mental and physical boost. So, right, okay, I'm going to tackle that now. Had my break, got my calm moment. It's no good trying to race to get a project done. It's no good racing at doing a jumper. Oh, I'm going to wear this next week. I mean, there are times I've done that. But as an overall concept, that's not where we are now. Where we are is me time, me crafting, things that bring you to where you want to be, where you want to be doing. It's much better for you. I'll sit and do this for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Exercises the whole of you rather than sitting on your Instagram going, it's up to you, it's a choice. So, let me tell you what we do. We have the YouTube channel. I have just over 1,000 subscribers now, like I said. It would be nice to monetize. It is not specifically about monetizing. It's about sharing what's in my head and helping you do things. If I'm monetizing, I'm have codes for a couple of the journaling companies, affiliate codes, that's the word. I think my last payment from Solo was £7. So, you know, you get your discount. Do I use my own discount code? Yes, of course I do. And thank you to everybody that used the code. You got your discount. In the past, I think it's every 3 months they pay up, with £7. Oh. I've had a couple of people use Buy Me a Coffee, send me money. I greatly appreciate that. You don't have to. My knitting patterns are available on the website. There's a lot of dog stuff because I used to make a lot of dog clothing, posh dog clothing. It is still around. It has moved from the shop into one of the local pet shops. He's looking after it for me. The patterns are on the website. I've had to downgrade the website so that now when you buy a download, it's not automatic. It saved me £200, I'm sorry. But now I have to do it manually. It's not enough. That might be half a dozen a month. So, downloads, I have to do it. You won't get it instantly, but you will get it. I'm always here if you want help. Most of the patterns have a video walkthrough with them. Some of the dog stuff doesn't. Hopefully they'll gradually address that. If you prefer Kindle, KDP, Amazon, the knitting patterns are available on Kindle, direct publishing, Amazon. We do that as well. There are several books now that you can buy from them. On Amazon also we've got knitting journals, notebooks with our little kitten quotes. There's some mindfulness journals, there's other various types of journals. There's dog breeds that I did a long time ago. That ticks over quietly in the background. That's a bit of stuff. We have the email list. If you sign up to the email list, you get a welcome sequence with my very classic teddy pattern. My little baby teddy pattern is now all over the world. I had a lady in Tasmania message me to say, oh, we're doing it in Tasmania. I know there's a couple of South African churches use it for their congregation for things. He's all over the world now, which is absolutely amazing to think of my little teddy in all these wonderful places. But if you sign up for the email list, you get that little welcome sequence, and then every month you get the free knitting pattern with the video talk through. I have been asked to do more chatty knit along style with the YouTube videos, so we are doing that. So I'd like to know if you like that. There's more information in it. But the pattern stays on the website for a short time and then it goes off into KDP and for sale on the website. There's lots of sale on KDP actually. Much more than I've done over the years. Oh, we have Eddie! Yes, we have Eddie! And if I can show you, because the sun's streaming in. Eddie wants to join in. Oh, hold on, Eddie, hold on. You can't see because the sun's shining. There he is. the small yappy pom. He likes to join in. All right, Ed? There's nothing happening. There's nobody coming, mate. No, nothing happening. No, it's nothing. There's nothing happening. I'm just doing my talky talk. Bless him. He's such a dear. I've completely forgotten what I was doing. Email, yes, you get a pattern. First Friday of the month you get your pattern. Second Friday of the month you do not get a pattern, an email, but Blanket Club goes live on the website. So makes a blanket square. There is tips and you can make them all the same. You can do them in 4-ply, double knitting, chunky, super chunky, what have you. Third Friday of the month we have the technique. I always get stuck for technique ideas because the big thing with knitting is once you can knit, once you can purl, every single knitting pattern is a knit and a purl. You do various things with the yarn and needles, but it's still a knit, however complicated, however fast and flat, it's a knit and a purl. So if you want anything explained, I did a sock in the round for somebody and I've done cables for somebody that wanted it. Just let me know. We'll that's about it. I'm not a video person. This whole thing is new to me. I think I'm improving. My editing's getting a bit better. I've learnt how to put the end screen on. I've learnt how to put those little information things on it. But we're slow. We're a slow old lady these days. The third is your technique. You get an email just to remind you that it's gone out on the YouTube, that it's there. The second and the fourth Fridays, the planning, lifestyle, chronic health stuff goes out on YouTube. You don't get any emails for that because that's not part of my little knitting community. They're kind of separate, but they kind of run together because, all these years of crafting, the most common thing that comes up with any type of crafting is health. The crafting community has a health baseline way below. I don't know if that, why or what, but the two run together as far as I'm concerned in my head. Crafting is so good for you. Knitting, obviously, huge fan. But I'm drawing and painting, and you can see, wall of ink. I do mixed media, art journaling. It's so good for you to sit and create. It really is. Anything like that is so good for you. Takes you into yourself, calms you, gives you an outlet for your craft. But I don't bombard the knitting people. I don't tell the knitting people about the chronic health and about my journaling. You can treat it all as separate. If you only want to drop in for the art journaling and the planning, that's fine. I love my journals. I love my art. That's great. You do that. I've had some lovely chats with people. It's so nice to talk about people with art journaling and planner because I've got nobody round me that does that. I'm the weird person that gets the diary out. Everybody else gets their phone out and I get my journal out. Now, I said this is the last technique video of the year because in December we have our Advent Christmas series. You've got to be on the email list. You can join now. Once they start going out in December, you can still join in during December because they all gradually stack up in your emails. You get an email every other day. There's 12 knitting patterns. Most of them are very, very simple, quick, easy. I think there's 3 this year that are a little bit more complicated, a little more advanced. You don't get walkthroughs for those. You get a walkthrough for all the other knitting patterns. We knit along, we have a little natter, we chat about stuff. Once Christmas Day comes, and we say, Happy Christmas, thank you, bye. That's it. Those patterns are never available. They don't go anywhere, that's it. I don't store them in a format where you can get them again. You can't say, oh, can I have that pattern from next year, from yeah, I missed that one. No, you can't. Occasionally, if it's something that's mine that I've written a long time ago, it will be on the website for sale as a single item. If there's one or two that I'm thinking of, big items that are on the website as normal things, I've put them in the email sequence as a bonus because it's all free. But it's not available. You can't then go onto the website and buy the book, or to KDP, Amazon, you can't buy the book. I don't keep them. So get on the email list, sign up, hang in with me. It's 12 patterns, so you will get 12 and a happy Christmas in your email box. Starts on the 1st December, every other day. You get an email with your video walkthrough. This year I've done a tips and tricks and hints and what have you. And then the patterns gradually add up. So you get 1, 2, 3. So you can come in at pattern 5 and still have access to them all. But once we hit Christmas Day, once the email stops, if you haven't got it filed, if you haven't downloaded your files, then I'm sorry, I don't have them in a format that I can send them to you again, because they are in that email, they are saved in that email. And once that email has gone, it's gone. So bear that in mind. That is why we don't do Blanket Club and Technique in December, because I've just got too much on my plate stacking all this stuff up. And I always promise I'm going to have it done. Yeah, it's going to be ready but for December, and it never is. It never is. I'm usually scrabbling about to try and get the last few done through December. So that is why. Sign up for your emails. And that happens in December. There is a vegetable this year. This is a tradition that's growing. There is a vegetable. Just saying. That's a little ramble and a rabbit about me, my work, what we're doing, where we want to go. We just want to jog along peacefully, really. If you give me ideas of what you want me to cover, I'm more than happy to have a bash. I can support you in your health and tell you you're not alone. You're not alone. You really are not. There's a lot of us look perfectly serene and calm and composed on the surface, and underneath we're eye high in painkillers and not sleeping for a fortnight. So you're not alone. Drop me a message, leave me a comment, subscribe. Please subscribe, like the videos, all that stuff. Subscribing helps you, because if you look at your screen, I don't know about phones because I don't have a phone, but there's a bit that says all the channels you're subscribed to. So if you want to find somebody quickly that you're subscribed to on a computer screen, it's on the left hand side down at the bottom. There's all your subscriptions, so you can find somebody quickly and easily. Like a video. It helps YouTube know that people are watching it and reacting to it, so it gets shown more. So if somebody types in beginners knitting, they're more likely to get some of my videos. So that's why I, and why everybody else, why we ask you to do this. Subscribe if you want to follow us and find us easily. That's wonderful. Like, comment. If you've got any patterns you want done for next year, if you've got any techniques you want me to cover, if you've got any health issues, anything like that, if you want me to sit and do a journal page, journal layouts with you, let's just keep in contact and have a gossip. And here's to next year, and let's see what joys next year brings us all. See you soon.